Kevin.
Dan.
Brian Wilson, the visionary co-founder of the Beach Boys, is
Surely alive.
Is surely passed away.
Aww.
Today, June 11th, 2025, according to Brian. Are you sure this is right?
Cuba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take it. Yes, his family posted on Instagram that he is dead.
His death was announced on his official website, apparently, too. So we don't know much about it, but we're going to talk about his life and death. About Brian Wilson.
And his legacy?
No, just life, death, that's it.
It's how he lived and how he died.
Here on
Real Brave Live.
But first, if you're interested in learning guitar or anything else, you can click below and get a free lesson today at realbraveaudio.com. Guys, Steely Dan sucks.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Sure does. Before we get into that, be sure to check out the Bobby Fuller episode that we have. It's really interesting, and I think it kind of goes into the music industry in a way that nobody's talking about from the 50s. Really, really interesting, because we're going to talk about the music industry from that time.
So I'm going to be fully transparent.
Yeah.
I don't remember that episode.
He fought the law, and the law won. That's a big
The
song.
Gabagool one. We talked about the
It was the Gabagool episode.
We talked about the mob influence on everything. I just think it's an interesting episode to check out, so you should just go check it out.
Link in the description. Not really.
Maybe it's up here when people do that. Like over here, over here, over here.
Oh, yeah, in the video.
We have
It's
our
right down here, folks.
It's
Come
right
get
over
it.
here. We have our resident Brian Wilson expert with us today to walk us through this.
No relation.
No relation.
No, we were both named Brian, but no relation.
I want to start with his early life. And there's some really interesting things I didn't know about Brian Wilson.
So there is some question about his early life.
Oh, yeah. Why is that?
Because he wrote an autobiography in the late 80s or early 90s that has since been debunked.
What?
Well, so
That doesn't.
He lied?
Here's why. For many years, he was under the care of this psychologist, Eugene Landy, who insisted on things like taking half of his songwriting royalties because he was essential to his life, and did all of this terrible stuff to Wilson, and ghost wrote the autobiography. So that book, I read it in college. It is harrowing. He talks about how his father shit on a plate and made him eat it. He talks about all this stuff that apparently other people have said, that stuff didn't happen. That's all the psychiatrist trying to drum up a more interesting story. So a lot of the terrible stuff we know about his father, there's not a lot of... We don't know how true some of that stuff is. It was true that he abused him. Brian Wilson's deaf in one ear because his father hit him in that ear. So we do know that. But there's a lot of the sort of more salacious stuff that it's unclear if that stuff really happened or not.
First factoid I have here: he was born on June 20th, 1942. Almost made it to 90.
No.
Nope.
Almost made it to 83.
I can do math.
Wait a minute. No, let's stop, because the viewers love this part where we do the math. He was born in what year?
1942.
Oh.
My dad's 70.
I was correct.
He almost made it to 100. So he was raised in a musical but turbulent household. That's my first talking point here. His father, Murray, love that name. We had a parrot named Murray.
Time out. You had a parrot?
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
not
named
me.
it-
My family, my uncle did, and I lived at my grandmother's house at the time. Murray was the parrot,
Okay.
and I was always over at my grandmother's house. Murray the parrot.
I am both fascinated by you having a parrot and also you giving it a Jewish male's first name. It's like having an iguana and naming it Chekhov. It's a very strange,
To be fair, my uncle named the parrot. It wasn't my parrot; it was my uncle's parrot. But I practically lived at my
Sure.
grandmother's
No,
house. So
I get it. I'm just saying Murray the parrot's a funny name.
Murray the parrot. I had a parakeet named Harvey.
Murray and Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were such a bird guy.
We can go real deep into that one. At age 3, Brian suffered permanent hearing loss in his right ear, possibly from trauma. So do you have any information on that?
That was the story that his family had told, that his father hit Brian so hard in the ear that he went deaf.
Oh man,
That's why all the Beach Boys, the official Beach Boys stuff, was all in mono, because Brian Wilson couldn't mix it in stereo because he couldn't hear out of this one ear.
that's nuts. If there's one thing I'm really grateful for. The only thing I'm really grateful for in the current parenting is that we don't beat our children.
The only thing?
It's the only thing. Because everything else we're failing on. But let's be clear. I'm very happy about that. Oh my goodness. So despite this, he developed exceptional pitch perception and harmonic sensitivity. Musical roots: the Four Freshmen, George Gershwin. George Gershwin. Is that true? Do you know if he was really influenced by
his favorite piece of music ever was Rhapsody in Blue? So yeah.
Can you play Rhapsody in Blue? Yummy. His orchestral compositions, Rhapsody in Blue, American in Paris, jazz standards like Embraceable You, I guess were a huge part of his upbringing musically.
It mentioned the Four Freshmen. Have either of you ever heard the Four Freshmen before?
I've never heard of the Four
It's
Freshmen.
basically you listening to the early Beach Boys, like not the surf stuff, but in terms of the harmonies, it's Brian Wilson lifted like the entire Beach Boys harmonic sound.
I'm sure
the
they're
Four
really
Freshmen.
happy about that. The Four Freshmen?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear if they're the Four Freshmen.
Yeah, when you hear the harmonies, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I've heard this before." It's because it's the Beach Boys.
Oh my goodness.
Just the style of harmony, you know.
I'd love to know if they ever tried to sue him. The Four Freshmen. It's a Blue World.
Sure.
Well, that just sounds like doo-wop.
You got the camera on, Dan, right?
I do. Well, get to the singing.
Oh. All right, so that
right?
reminds-
Doesn't that?
Yeah. I'm hearing that. Is it Mike Love that does that harmony? Is he the one, or is it
The
Brian
falsetto one
Yeah,
is Brian Wilson.
that's Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I wonder if they ever. Can you research if the Four Freshmen ever sued the Beach Boys? Because that sounds suable. Is that a word?
It's really very similar.
Anyway, he learned piano by ear, studied harmony, and recorded songs with a reel-to-reel tape deck in his bedroom.
No. The Four Freshmen did not sue the Beach Boys.
I guess you can't sue just because you sound like each other.
I also wonder if it was a good business thing. Like if Brian Wilson talks about them in interviews, maybe their career surged a bit.
I've never heard of him. I know what Brian
In the
Wilson is.
'60s, though, I mean, you know, it's a little different than
I
now.
have to ask my dad. He would know. He knows stupid things like that. Formed early musical groups with his brothers and cousin. I didn't know they were cousins. Mike
Yeah.
Love in high school.
Oh, Mike Love of the Beach Boys sued Brian
Yes.
Wilson. Yeah,
For songwriting, yeah.
For sounding like the Four Horsemen.
for
What are the-
co-writing
Four Freshmen?
credits and royalties on several Beach Boys
Oh, well,
songs.
yeah. I don't think they got along for a long time.
They did not.
His first song demo was Surfer Girl, showcasing his flair for lush harmonies and a melodic emotion. What? That was perfect.
That's all I know for surf music.
Yeah.
Miserlou, the Dick Dale song from Pulp Fiction.
Do you know anything about the formation of the Beach Boys?
I know way too much about all of this.
Oh, boy.
Can I wager a guess?
Sure.
They were just a couple of guys in California. They were at the beach, and one guy had an acoustic guitar and started singing, and then three other guys who were also very competent singers and musicians
Just showed up.
heard them, and they're like, "Whoa!"
We got to get in on this.
Yeah, and then they all spontaneously started harmonizing, and that's how Good Vibrations was written.
Yes.
Yes.
He pretty much nailed it. But
Yes.
I'll give a little bit more context.
Okay,
here.
I like
By the way,
that.
this is my father's favorite music. My dad was a
Yes.
huge Beach Boys guy, so I grew up listening to all this stuff.
Respect.
Brian Wilson and his brothers used to sing three-part harmony, and his cousin would come over and join in. And across the street, their friend Al Jardine lived there, and the five of them were playing together since they were like in grade school essentially. And then in high school, Brian Wilson wrote some songs, and they borrowed. I think the story is the Wilsons' parents went away and left them like $300 for a week to get groceries and all that. They spent that. Went to a recording studio and recorded their first song.
Can I just say, my dad would step in and be like, $300 is a lot of money back then. Go ahead,
Okay,
please.
cool.
That's funny because I was wondering that as he said that. I was like, I wonder how much that was back then.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
But so after that, but none of them surfed except for the younger brother Dennis. He was a big surfer guy.
Oh, that only one of them was a surfer?
Yeah.
So the rest of them were just phonies.
Well, yeah. So I don't. They
Is what you're saying.
Yes. They wanted to not become. They had a different name.
Not to disparage the late Brian
Yeah, I was
Wilson.
gonna say
The Beach
their
Boys.
mothers are dead too.
The
if you wanna
rec-
piss on all their graves.
The
It's cool.
recently deceased
Yeah.
Brian
The Beach
Wilson.
Boys, sometimes.
But no. So they wanted to be called the Pendletones.
Yes, I see that. Very
Which it was a play on a kind of shirt.
Wool shirt, popular with surfers.
Yes.
With not them, because they're not surfers.
Right.
They were nerds.
But the label, I think, wanted to call them the Beach Boys because it was a more, poppy name or whatever.
Guy!
I mean, it works. Yeah, Dan's guy.
The Pendletones, no way.
I don't think the Pendletones are going to work, see? What about the Beach Boys?
Yeah. But it's very funny. My dad and I saw them on their 50th anniversary tour when they were all in their 70s, and they're still calling themselves boys. It was cute. It was cute. Like the little guys.
It's just
Hey, we're
boys.
going to see the little guys tonight.
boys.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't work for me.
No.
The first single, Surfin', was about the then new surfing craze. Was surfing really new, though? Wasn't that like... Hey, please, more of that. Was surfing really new? Is that like isn't that like a Hawaiian thing? Where they used to they used to jump on each other's backs and wear like grass skirts?
This is going to get racist real quick.
Stop right there.
Oh,
It is a
boy.
proud tradition that I know nothing about.
Yeah. I would say that the fuck me. The California surf thing was new at this time. I don't know if surfing in general was new. White people in California doing it, it was new.
Oh,
at the
okay. So
time.
for white people, they didn't know, which makes sense, because we're just
We're not down.
No. When the song was sent to Candix Records in 1961, the label changed the group's name to the Beach Boys. That guy did it. The name stuck, and even though only Dennis Wilson actually surfed.
Why do you even need notes, man? You got Brian right here.
Oh, well,
I'm telling you everything that's in your notes.
All right, well then, talk to me. Well, you've got the notes here.
I'm not looking at the notes.
You're not looking at the notes. You could teach a Beach Boys class.
Probably, yeah.
I love it.
Could you respond like ChatGPT?
No.
Oh, come on. You can't give us a certainly. Here's
Man.
everything I know about the Beach Boys.
I had to write an article about the Mets signing somebody yesterday, and the only source was the most AI written article of all time. It was making me fucking crazy.
Mets, baby.
It was like, this player shows the commitment to the depth of the bullpen. I was like, no human being would write any of this shit. It's so bad. Anyway.
No, I mean, there is... I'm not getting into AI with you. You're a heathen. All right, so I've got 5 genius points here and legacy points.
Well, can I ask you guys a question first?
Yes.
So,
I thought we were not going to talk about his legacy. It was
just his life and death.
I was going to
Yeah.
do
Life
life,
and
death, but, whatever. Who cares?
If we touch on the legacy, it's okay.
We'll touch each other. Go ahead.
What are your personal thoughts on the Beach Boys? Like, there's the thing about the Beach Boys is there's a lot of music, but everybody knows like very little of it. Everyone knows kind of Surfing USA, Surfing Safari, and then you might know some Pet Sound stuff. Wouldn't It Be Nice? God Only Knows. Good Vibrations you were playing before.
Yeah.
But they've been music for like 40 years. So what are your general thoughts on the Beach Boys?
I'm going to let Kevin go first in this one.
I think they're overrated, honestly. Personally, for me.
Sure. We should just preface this that Kevin's a Fish fan. Just
listen.
set the table.
Somebody took, choral music and put it to Five Guys, burgers and fries.
Sounds good.
But then again, I haven't listened a lot to I know the hits, and once you've heard one hit, you're just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Mike DeProspo, huge Beach Boy fan. We did Good Vibrations as part of the Real Brave All Stars event. a couple
I
of years
remember
ago.
you doing that. This is a crazy.
Playing that live is really that was
really
recorded
hard.
modularly. Each part was recorded separately.
It was
and put together
it was a
after.
huge challenge to perform for sure. But we had 4-part harmonies. Yeah, I mean, it never really did anything for me. I understand why people like it a lot, but it's for me. And again, I have not listened to a lot of it, so I'm sure there's something in there that would really interest me. But I haven't been ever super interested by It's just very it's too relaxing. That's my qualm with it.
I gotta get you some of the sad Beach Boys then.
Yeah.
Some of the existential dread. Beach
Show me
Boys.
some. Show
Day
me
in
some
the
of
Life
the
a Tree.
Radiohead Beach Boys. Give me
Yeah,
that. Give me
yeah.
that stuff.
Okay.
Dan?
The first thing I think of is Kokomo.
Well, that's our age, right? That's
so Aruba, Jamaica.
Yeah. Ooh, I want to take you.
Going farther back, I always think of my dad listening to the Beach Boys and him talking about seeing them at Dayton, Ohio, and how bad they were live.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. Other than that, I tried to get into Pet Sounds. I just couldn't. I really tried. I had it on a playlist and everything. This is a couple years ago.
With a new puppy at home, I got too much Pet Sounds in my life. All right.
But the most interesting thing about the Beach Boys, besides the obvious genius, I would say, is the I guess the competition between McCartney or the Beatles and the Beach Boys at that time.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting, and I also think that the Smile album not coming out is really interesting.
So eventually it did come out.
Right, but
Yeah.
I mean, but
At the time, yeah.
it was
It drove him
shelved.
crazy. It was driving him crazy, literally.
So those are very interesting, and
Yeah.
I feel like my comment was better than Kevin's. To be clear,
I keep hearing, Brian Williams, genius.
Wilson.
Whatever.
Brian Williams on NBC News.
Whatever.
Different people here.
Whatever his fucking name is, I don't care. I keep hearing people throw the word genius at him, but like, tell me where. Show me exactly where. You know what I mean?
So
like, I want to hear that. Like Kokomo, it's not to me. Is not a very genius
He had
thing.
nothing to do with Kokomo.
Okay.
That was post Brian Wilson.
Oh, okay.
Who wrote Kokomo then?
But you want to know about the genius of Brian Wilson? So let me lay out my argument for the genius of Brian Wilson.
Okay.
Okay. So there's sort of three strands coming together in the Beach Boys music.
Mm-hmm.
There is this very traditional choral, deep harmony happening.
Yeah.
There is also an awareness of the rock and roll pop music of the time.
Okay.
And there is the first real use of using the studio as an instrument. And so you have groundbreaking techniques. Sorry, go ahead.
What do
You
you
have a question?
What do you mean by that? Are you about to explain that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So when the Beach Boys were on tour, Brian Wilson had a nervous breakdown.
Okay.
And he said, let me stay home and make the records. You guys go out on tours. They hired a singer to replace him in the band, and he stayed home. And he worked with the group that is now called the Wrecking Crew, which is the best musicians of the 60s, Carol Kay, Teddy Zesco, Hal Blaine, etc. And he would make not just originally he was just making the records with them, and the Beach Boys would come in and sing after. But around the time of right after Pet Sounds, he started making music in this modular way. So Good Vibrations is the best example of this. That song was never recorded front to back. Each section was recorded separately, and he did not know the exact order it was going to go into. So he recorded each section with the idea that you could just plug them in to different places in there.
Okay.
And so
That makes sense. Yeah.
So nobody was recording that way. This is the first. I mean, maybe there was somebody at home doing stuff like this.
This
but
is pre-Beatles stuff?
the Beatles were at this.
Is this pre-Garage Band?
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
pre-Pro Tools?
Yes, it is pre-Pro Tools also.
Wow.
This is when 1960.
65, 66, he started doing this
So
sort of
the
stuff.
Beatles were still doing.
The Beatles are doing like at this time. The
Hard
Beatles are
Day's Night.
doing we're probably looking at like Rubber Soul, Revolver.
Oh, so they're starting.
They're starting to do some studio stuff, but not in this modular kind of
And that's
way.
like they're taking the actual magnetic tape, cutting it, and splicing it
Yes.
onto other
Yeah.
pieces of magnetic
yes, exactly.
tape. Wow.
Yeah,
Which is so easy these days. Can you imagine doing that?
yeah. I mean, do you know how hard it was to line that shit
Can't
up?
even imagine.
Like it must have taken so much time. But not only that, he's also in this album called Smile that drove him crazy and eventually got released when he was like in his 60s, I think it was. That album is full of surrealistic poetry. It's full of like very weird instrumentation. It's full of a lot of experimentation. And at the time, Good Vibrations was the only song that came out finished from
Right.
that. It was supposed to all sound like that. And the record does sound, it's like a full-length version of that. It's a song called Surf's Up on that. It's amazing. There's a lot of really great music on that. But it exactly. But it drove him crazy. He was I mean, he was doing LSD and he was already mentally unstable.
Maybe
so-
argue that the LSG maybe drove him crazy or contributed more to that than.
That is mental illness already?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I mean, both were pieces of it. But like there's a song in there called Mrs. O'Leary's Cow. Mrs. O'Leary's Cow is the cow that kicked over the bucket that started the Chicago fire. You know the big fire that burned down Chicago?
yes.
That's the name of the cow. The woman named Mrs. O'Leary owned the cow. And there's a whole section on this Smile album about the elements, fire, water, and wind. And so in the fire section, the song is called Mrs. O'Leary's Cow. And Brian Wilson believed that by playing this song, they were going to start a fire someplace.
Okay.
And so he had a nervous breakdown thinking they were going to cause like a disaster. So he made everyone in the studio wear fireman hats, and that was going to like protect them from this. Like, this is the kind of shit that was happening.
Did they ever write a song about the molasses silo that tipped over in Atlanta,
I don't believe so. But
killed like 30 people?
you should write that song.
It's like 90 million gallons of molasses.
I would listen to that song.
I would. Yeah, I would also.
Where did it go? The molasses?
They're like down the streets and stuff.
down the street.
And it went fast.
Yeah?
It fast for molasses.
Molasses goes pretty...
I was going to say, the conventional wisdom would tell us otherwise.
Yeah.
There's an entire idiom based
Yeah,
around
yeah.
the
I fell
speed
right
of
into that
molasses.
one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fell right into
No,
that one.
it went at like 20-something miles an hour
I'm
down
not
the
even-
street.
I don't
because
wanna
of
know
just how
anymore.
much there was. I'll tell you more.
Fast as molasses.
They said the city smelled sweet for months afterward.
I'm gonna be. I quit. Can we get back to the Mrs. O'Leary's cow thing? Because
Sure,
I
yeah,
said
yeah.
yes, I heard of that, and then I realized no, I don't. I don't know what you're talking about. So you're
Okay.
saying like there was a cow that tipped over something that started all the fires?
In Chicago, there was a
In like the 1800s.
yeah, there was a cow that apparently kicked over a bucket that had fire. I don't know the exact story.
There was a bucket that was on fire.
It was
on
a
fire.
lantern. It was a
It was
lantern.
or something, and then the cow kicked over the thing.
It's
and
back in like gas lantern time.
So
Yeah.
the one guy was like, "Careful over there," and the cow's gonna tip that over, and it's gonna cause a fire. And
And
then
it
somebody
went-
was
and
like,
it burned
Ooh.
down like half the city of Chicago.
Yeah,
It was a huge fire.
All right.
But yeah, but just to put a point in the genius of Brian Wilson here, even after he goes nuts, there's a lot of really interesting exploration of stuff that he does that would be reflected way later. Like he's the first person to really build a recording studio in his home.
the first person.
Well, he had like a working studio in his living room.
Okay.
And that's
And it's really expensive too.
So
Yes.
this was means meets opportunity, right?
Absolutely,
Because what's
100%.
that guy we did an episode on who just recorded everything on tape cassette?
I mean, there's lots of people who did that. I'm trying to think of who we did the.
They were all like
Leslie
weird.
Willis?
No. But that's like another
Daniel
example.
Johnson?
Daniel Johnson, right?
That's way later though.
So, but like he didn't really have the means, right?
Right.
He had, I wonder, like people like that, if they had the means, like how
Sure.
many more Brian Wilsons
Of
are
course,
there?
Tons.
that's an excellent question. Or
Yeah.
an excellent.
Brian Wilson
observation.
had already reached a level of success at that point in his life where he could afford to build a recording studio
Right.
and experiment.
So he
with
was
all
the
this stuff.
first megastar to have a known recording studio.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people owned their own studios at this point, but his was like, I mean, his piano was in a sandbox in the studio. Like he would, it was a pretty weird.
That one
What?
I knew.
Yeah,
like an actual
an
sandbox.
actual sandbox. Yeah.
He gets around.
But like there's a lot of if you listen to like some '70s Beach Boys stuff, there's a lot of like lo-fi sounds that would become popular later on. He was just constantly trying new things, and I think what separates genius a lot of times is the ability to, or the what's what I'm looking for, the lack of fear of jumping off the deep end and trying something new. And throughout his career, he's taking a lot of big swings. Most of them miss after a certain point in time, but he's taking a lot of big swings.
I want to talk about Smile. I have here a note that says it was a teenage symphony
to God. Yeah.
Can you explain that to me, please?
Fuck you, already knowing.
I tell you, I have a steel trap for bullshit.
So looking forward to the trivia on this.
Oh yeah, this is good. It's gonna be a good one.
That was just his way of describing it. It was at the time. You got to realize too, and this is a bigger point, I guess, but like rock and roll and pop music, that was the realm of kids. This wasn't considered high art. The idea that somebody like Radiohead today is doing stuff that is considered like on par with fine art and orchestras and all that. That wasn't the case here. So calling it a teenage symphony is the idea of like it's a pop music symphony. And but he had some very I think highfalutin not even religious, spiritual ideas about music and all that.
Was he was religious?
I don't think he was religious. I think he was spiritual. I hate that distinction because it kind of means nothing, but I understand the distinction.
I just think that like when I listen to it, it sounds hokey to me. Like the rhythms sound hokey. It sounds not contrived. It's really good. I'm just like I have a hard. It's dated, right? So that's number one. I have a hard time getting to that.
Hokey is the word I was looking for.
It just sounds. Get around.
Oh, so fun fact on that for me, an anecdote I have about that song is the first time I heard that was in the movie Look Who's Talking, about the baby.
The baby
that
that
could
talks.
talk.
Yeah.
But the opening scene of
Bruce
that
Willis.
movie is sperm cells swimming through
happens.
a vagina.
Yeah.
And
That's vagine.
that song is playing, and I'm like at the time like 8, so I'm like, what am I looking at here? I thought it was like spaceships or whatever. And
Talk about hokey.
Yeah.
Is that John Travolta too?
that is
Yes, John Travolta, Kirstie Alley, and
Kirstie Alley.
oh
Bruce
yeah.
Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's ruining it for me.
I mean,
I hate it, but I hate to do that because that just sounds so pretentious
Well,
to do stuff like that. I hate to say that, but that's
but
what it feels like to me.
I get the hokey thing in a way, though, because that sound has now become so associated with not just a God bless you, Kevin, not just
Thank
a
you.
particular like point in time, but like if you're trying to represent the late '60s, you play a sitar. If you're trying to represent surfing culture, you play the Beach Boys. It's like it is.
Can you do a sitar?
It's just like it's the shorthand for something, and so no.
No, it's like more dissonance there.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But just like it becomes the easy joke
Yeah.
for something. The easy reference. And I think when you have that, sometimes you just don't quite. It takes a lot to break through from that. Like I said, the Beach Boys stuff that I tend to really like is not that stuff. But I understand the appeal of it, and like it's funny. When my daughter was like 2 or 3, we were at my parents' house, and my dad had the Beach Boys on, and she like started dancing. She just like certain things just like kids get, and she just like I think it was Surfing USA. She just like got it. It made sense to her.
Simple yet musically sound.
Yeah.
Simple but like musically sound. I want to jump ahead to the controversial therapy. So we know his career, and he's obviously a genius. But in the 1980s, he was under the care of therapist Eugene Landy, whose methods were later deemed unethical, leading to legal actions to end Landy's control over Brian's life. When you start reading into this is super fucked up.
Oh, but he wouldn't let him eat certain foods. He wouldn't let him interact with his family. Like it got really bad.
It was a therapeutic relationship that help Wilson recover from mental illness that turned into a tale of manipulation, control, and exploitation. So this comes about because Wilson was in a deep emotional and physical decline. This is in the 70s.
He got real fat.
He got really overweight, heavily abused drugs, suffered from schizoaffective disorder.
He was hearing voices.
He was hearing
He was
voices.
hearing voices, yeah.
Who said that?
Desperate, then wife Marilyn and Beach Boys Inner Circle brought in Dr. Eugene Landy, a psychologist known for treating difficult celebrity clients. So basically, Landy billed $35,000 a month for his services, and his aggressive 24-hour mileo therapy. Did I say that right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Involved full-time entourage and complete control of Wilson's environment and soon raising alarm bells. This sounds like
the entourage
Sergeant.
has the best nickname of all time. By
What
the
is
way.
it?
They call them the Surf Nazis, which is just a great name.
It sounds like Colonel Tom Parker.
Yeah, not too dissimilar. There's a great biopic called Love and Mercy about Brian Wilson, and half of it takes place in the 60s during the making of Smile and showing his breakdown, and the other half is in the 80s with him under Landy's care. And Paul Dano from There Will Be Blood plays the younger Brian Wilson, and John Cusack plays the older Brian Wilson.
Oh.
It's excellent. Came out maybe 10, 15 years ago.
And the name again? I missed
Love
it.
and Mercy.
Love and Mercy. I know the height of that one.
It's a really good. It's about making pet sounds and Smile. You get to see some of the real great musical stuff happening, and you also get to see sort of how he was coming out of the craziness with
It's
Landy.
so crazy, man. By the late 80s, Wilson's family, because he had a couple of iterations of this, treating Brian Wilson. Melissa Ledbetter, do I know that? Second wife?
Melinda Ledbetter.
Oh, Melinda. And his daughters realized that Landy's control was huge. In 1991, a California attorney general got involved and legally barred Landy from contacting Wilson ever again. Whatever happened to the psychotherapist? Did
He died a number of years ago.
All right, good for him. What else do you want to add to this horrific portion? It sounds like this is where his life really started taking a dark turn and was not helped. It's the Michael Jackson, it's the Tom Parker, right? Colonel Tom, did I get that right? When you read these stories of people, how they manipulate stars, they should all go to hell, those people, because it's just, these are human beings. You're not, what's the word I'm looking for, Kevin?
Cattle.
They're not cattle, Kevin. I also forgot that Brian had daughters, Carney and Wendy Wilson.
From Wilson Phillips, yeah.
Wilson Phillips.
You gotta hold on.
There's been several times in my freaking life where I've woken up in the morning singing that goddamn song. You gotta hold on
Yeah.
for one more day.
One more day, baby. That's it. That is your wake up in the morning song. For a decade, Mine was "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain. I would wake up and just go da 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 every day, and I fucking hate that song. I don't know why it was that one, but for like 10 years. And then one day I talked about it finally, and it went away. It was like a very psychosomatic thing. Yeah.
Do you know the song "Hold On" by Wilson Phillips?
Hold on to
For one more day, you probably heard it at that place. Yeah, there was like weeks where I would just wake up in the morning and you gotta hold
got
on.
each other, and that's a lot for love.
Yeah. Oh, I am fucked now, Brian. Yeah, that's it. Someday somebody's gonna make you wanna turn around and eat a sandwich. Don't eat another freaking sandwich. You're too fun. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Brian, for helping us get a copyright strike.
That's what editors are for.
Yeah. So anyway,
I want to see that left in, but that whole section just be muted.
Just us grooving.
Yeah. Anyway, so Brian Wilson died today. That's it.
May I make one suggestion to people out there?
Yeah.
If you are at all Beach Boys curious, but you don't know where to start, don't go to the hits. Go to the album called Surf's Up, 1972, I think it is. Specifically, side 2 of that record. It is Feel Flows by Carl Wilson, a great psychedelic song. I forgot the name of the second song by Al Jardine. It's okay. Then Day in the Life of a Tree, the saddest song ever written. Oh. They had to trick their manager into singing it. It was so sad none of them would sing it. And they're like, hey, manager dude, can you go on this, just tell us how it should be sung? And he sung it like, all right, you're done, that's it. And that they released the manager singing the song. It's a horribly sad song. Then it has Till I Die, the most beautiful sad song Brian Wilson ever wrote. And then Surf's Up, his best song ever.
So yeah.
Side 2 of Surf's Up. Go check it out, please.
If you're into listening to music, which I hope you are, please do that. There's a lot to what Brian is saying that I will accept as fine. Kevin?
I think Owen Wilson was a great guy.
Owen Wilson was a pretty good actor. he didn't die, though. He's still alive. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Have you seen the...
lightsabers?
No. It's a meme. It's a picture of Owen Wilson. It's Owen Wilson, Fozzie Bear, Owen Wilson. It's wow, waka, wow.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. Yeah.
So we have a game.
Yeah.
I did buy I bought this from Duncan. Tell me this is...
Is that like Alice in Chains?
Yeah. Felt like it.
All right, there are 3 in here. Oh. Just checking. It was a deal. I got a deal. There we got 3, but you're only getting 1. For $10, you and a friend could go get some caffeine. Yeah, so we play this game every week where we try to put a game together anyway where these guys go against each other, and it's supposed to be a fight to the death, but you freaking guys socialize this thing. You share the gift like a bunch of...
We've seized the means of caffeination.
I don't know what the word is, but... All right, the name of this game is Name That Beach Boys Song.
Oh.
A lyric...
I'll take care of your coffee, don't worry.
Cool. A lyric guessing game for true fans of California harmonies. How it works, I will read out a short lyric line, and contestants have to...
We get it.
Fuck.
I am bad with lyrics. You might have a chance at this.
Okay.
Let's
go. Because I don't know some of these songs. So here we go. I hope you guys lose. You know what? If nobody wins, you're not getting one of these.
Okay.
So here we go. Who's going first? You have to answer the question.
Kevin,
We're not going to buzz in because that doesn't work.
I'll go
All right,
first.
he goes first. Lyric 1. I guess I should have kept my mouth shut when I started to brag about my car.
That's Hang 10, written by Mike Love.
The answer is don't worry.
I was going to steal it.
Oh, you're going to steal it? All right, well,
That's all right. No, it's fine.
Whatever. All right. Oh, we're doing stealing?
No, do whatever you want.
They let him steal. What's this? What's the...
It was Don't Worry, Baby.
By Mike Love.
Fun fact, Brian wrote this as a response to Be My Baby by the Ronettes.
Whoa.
You knew that?
I did, yes.
Always be my baby.
Yes.
Michael McDonald?
That's Mariah Carey.
Oh. What will be the Michael McDonald version of that?
You'll always be my baby. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Brian, you're up. You're up next. I'm getting bugged driving up and down this same old strip.
That is I Get Around.
Was Brian Wilson underneath the investigation of the feds? Is that why he was worried about being bugged?
Maybe.
Yeah, that is I Get Around.
It says fun, fun, fun.
It's not.
It's not?
What are the lyrics? What is it? I get bugged.
I get bugged driving up and down the same old strip. I'm telling you, it's I Get Around.
Does I get around?
All right, Brian. You are smarter than me because I have put this game together.
You were ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. It's ChatGPT. Dan was so committed to AI that he wanted to take that bullet.
I am not as smart as Brian. Catch a wave, Kevin, and you're sitting on top of the world.
This is Surfing USA.
This is Catch a Wave.
Catch a wave. The track inspired Jan and Dean's surf sound.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin's gonna lose this game. Oh, you should have had the next one.
I'll steal.
What is it?
I'm gonna give it to Kevin. Can I give this one to Kevin?
Sure.
All right.
I'm going to steal it back. Okay.
All right. Kevin, wouldn't it be nice if we were older? Then we wouldn't have to wait so long.
Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? Then we wouldn't have to wait so long. California Girls.
Can I steal?
No, wait.
Steal?
This is the opening track of Pet Sounds,
Yes,
one of
it
the
is.
most influential albums ever.
50 First Dates.
Brian?
That's Wouldn't It Be Nice?
Wouldn't it be nice?
God damn it! Fuck!
Brian, she's my little Deuce Coupe. You don't know what I've got.
That would be a little Deuce Coupe.
Yeah, it sure is. The Deuce Coupe refers to a 1932 Ford Hot Rod.
I see the pattern.
Kevin, appropriately, well, East Coast girls are hip. I really dig those styles they wear.
This is East Coast Girls.
Think.
Can I steal, please?
Can we, no, let's go backwards in time to the 80s. We can do David Lee Roth.
He's not going to know David Lee Roth's
West
version
Coast
of this.
Girls. California Girls.
Yeah!
Yes!
All right, we got him one, kids.
We got him 5-1.
All right, 5-1. You're not going to win. Brian, I may not always love you, but as long as there are stars above you.
You'll never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. The song, The First Dance at My Wedding, God only knows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney once called this the greatest song
song
ever written.
Yeah.
Jesus, you are a book of useless
knowledge. Yeah, I always say this to you.
Kevin, we'll give you the last one, or maybe even the last two, because Brian's winning. Over and over, I'll whisper your name. Over and over, I'll kiss you. I'll kiss you again. I'll kiss you again.
Over and over.
I don't know this one.
Wendy?
Oh, that song sucks.
Okay.
Yeah, that song actually is a lyric that I laugh at every time. It's I never knew a guy could cry until you made it with another guy.
Oh yeah.
That's a pretty terrible
That's
lyric.
a pretty 50s, 60s
Isn't it?
thinking.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Last one, Kevin. We'll give it to you too. If you get this, you win the whole game.
It's a U2 song?
Yeah, he wins the whole game. I just made that up. I've been in this town so long that back in the city, I've been taken for lost and gone.
For a long time.
It's good vibrations, obviously.
It's got to be Good Vibrations.
No, it's actually Heroes and Villains.
Wow. Well, I got to
Track
say,
one off Smile.
I am super impressed by this guy. That's impressive. Because, look, I don't think the lyrics are very high up on the totem pole for great lyrics.
He didn't write the lyrics.
Who wrote the lyrics?
Mike Love wrote a lot of lyrics, and there was various lyricists who would write with him.
If you really want to make fun of me, go to the Mike Love short that we have, where I got killed.
Why? What happened?
I did a Mike Love thing, and I was like, Mike Love is one of the most influential singers in history or something like that, and people went berserk.
People hate him.
Why?
He's a monster, that's why.
Why?
Well, he was the one, he famously said, don't fuck with the formula. He didn't want Brian Wilson to do anything that was, different. He cut Brian Wilson out of the Beach Boys a bunch of times. He's a pretty bad guy.
I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it. I was just saying that he was influential. Everybody was saying, well, Brian Wilson, and Mike Love didn't do anything.
He's a bit of a douche, but you can't argue that the Beach Boys would have been very different without him.
Yeah.
That's valid.
He's
yeah.
the David Lee Roth of the Beach Boys.
He is. He is. That's fair.
2 notes on a sax and a tambourine does not make one a musician.
Yeah. You have to read the comments.
I will gladly do this later.
Yeah, I'll have to. Can you send that to Brian?
Yeah, I searched Real Brave Mike Love.
Got it.
It's the it is probably the pinnacle of Real Brave.
Oh, this title is serious.
You know, it's one of the first ones we did. I was like, oh my god, this is actually a median where I can go on there. Go ahead, more. You got more?
I mean,
It's the same thing over and over again. I started responding too.
Brian's better. Yeah, I
know,
see you heart responding to every comment.
Yeah.
Somebody just said boo. And you did reply to that.
When I write.
You wrote a laughing emoji.
Listen, I don't give a shit. I think that they made a lot of money, and all that money is going to go to their kids. I wake up every morning to hold on. Thank you very much for bringing it back on.
You panned to Carl when you were talking about Brian. Get the Wilsons straight.
I mean, to be fair, fuck off.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding.
To which you responded, sometimes editing gets around. This is great. Can we do more of this?
Yeah.
Just reading comments and your replies.
Yes, we can.
We call this section "Reply Guys,"
Yeah.
where we just read Dan's replies to our different YouTube videos.
I think the next time, I hope one of the guys from Steely Dan dies so that we can do a.
One
Whoa.
only one left, and he's a wife beater, so let's let him die. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. I don't like Steely Dan. And these guys love Steely Dan.
I mean, I just don't not like them.
You don't not like them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love them.
I like a lot of Steely Dan.
You like their musicianship.
I do, for sure. I do.
They're excellent musicians.
it. I mean, I can't deny that they're great musicians. They're incredible musicians. Are they good songwriters? No.
I'll play some songs for you. We should have a new segment called Brian Changes Dan's Mind, where I just play him stuff and prove him wrong.
You have
Every
to-
time I hear a Steely Dan
You have to
song, I
take
wanna
him
do
to a
this.
Steely Dan concert.
That's
Twice.
That's called the Kevin around these parts, where you take him unwillingly to a concert.
You guys want to go to SPAC in, I think, August?
I don't know what that word means.
Saratoga Performing Arts Center, the band Fish.
I will go if we can afford and afford a booth where we do this, and then I pay you guys for the day.
Neither
That would be fun.
Can afford neither of those things.
No, I want a booth.
What does a booth
booth?
mean at a concert?
Yeah, we'll be on the lawn, dude.
No, we're in a booth and we do and then we live stream it. That'd be fun. I'd pay
Booth?
for that.
We can't. There's so many legal. What? No. Live stream it. You're gonna
Live
come-
stream?
you're
No,
gonna-
we'll be there. Then we watch the stupid show and then we talk about
We can
your
live stream from the parking lot while we talk to people about dollar grilled cheese sandwiches.
Wicks.
Motherfucking bacon in every motherfucking bite.
All right, enough. We got to get back to work. You must click below to get a free lesson on our platform. That song is just great, right?
Best.
Here on Real Brave Live.